Hey guys, welcome to Monday. Welcome to Countdown Day. And today, kind of carrying on from last week, we're going to look at the top 10 worst Studio Series Transformers. This includes anything from the main live action Studio Series, Gamer Edition, concept art, or 86. What are the worst from all of Studio Series? In all of its sublines, what are the 10 worst offerings? According to voters. That's our topic this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe. And while you are at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell. It helps me out a ton and lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all of the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. So, this is, according to voters, the top 10 worst Studio Series Transformers. We've done the 10 best last week. There were a lot of votes last week. There were a lot of votes this week. As with last week, some of these I agree with, some of them I don't. I'm sure you're going to feel the same way. Let's kick things off with the honorable mentions. And they include only two this time. World War II Bumblebee. I can't speak to it. I remember seeing it and thinking that green looks awful. I've only heard that it's very loosey-goosey. I've heard that the transformation's boring. I really don't know. I don't know the mold. I haven't encountered it, but I could believe it because of the Studio Series Bumblebee molds that I have experienced, the only one I have any remote use for is the one where he turns into a Jeep. Other than that, I've hated every single Bumblebee that they've done. That's a personal gripe. I can't speak to the 86, don't have it. That looks pretty cool. Not planning to get it. But I assume that that one's pretty good. From everything I've seen on it, that one is being very well received. So, yeah, World War II Bumblebee. The other is Satellite Soundwave. A lot of people said the resulting satellite mode is awful. It's a nothing. And they said the robot is actually worse than the actual satellite version of him that was released in, what, 2009 or whatever it was. And I can remember handling that version of him way back in whatever it was, 2009, I think it was 2009, and thinking then like, it's an alright robot, like he's a fine robot, but I didn't enjoy the transformation on that, so I can only imagine how much I would not enjoy the transformation on this. Neither World War II Bumblebee or Satellite Soundwave, as popular as they are, with the voters, neither of them made the list for the worst. So who did? What did? You know what we're going to do, man. We're going to do as we always do, and we're going to kick things off with number 10 first. Oh boy, kicking us off at number 10 is this. Studio Series 18. It is the Bumblebee movie, Bumblebee, the one that turns into a VW Bug. I gotta say, for being one of the worst in Studio Series, I agree. I reviewed this thing. I despise its existence. Here's the funny part. There are people that voted for it in last week's countdown for being one of the best. And if you find that to be the case, I applaud you, because when I did the transformation, I found nothing rewarding about it. I found it to be overly engineered for the small, diminutive size that it is. I found that in robot mode, parts like to pop off and got in its own way. And I found in going to the car mode that when you got to the end, it didn't quite fit together because there's not enough space inside the vehicle for everything to compact the way it's supposed to compact. Those who voted for it had the same criticisms. If you have managed to finesse everything just right and found it to be a success for you in your collection, then honestly, I really applaud you. But enough fans felt that this is a hodgepodge, over-engineered, I don't want to say poorly tolerated, poorly spaced, I suppose, version of Bumblebee, that it's considered one of the worst in the Studio Series by voters, and it took the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9 is Studio Series 86 Arcee, and I don't get it. I don't understand the gripe here at all. I think she's perfect, or pretty darn close to it. If I had a gripe, I would say the back of her legs being hollow is a gripe. Maybe the inside of her thigh being hollow as a gripe. I don't think either of that was necessary. But other than that, I think she's pretty fantastic. Now, those that voted for her kind of unanimously said the same thing, that she's very, very loosey-goosey. But as you can see, mine, not really. Mine's fine. So I respect that people have that enough that, you know, she was able to rank, but it hasn't been my experience with the mold. So I don't know. A lot of people said they took everything that was good about the, I guess, the original Generations one from way back when, and the changes they made it worse. If you experienced the same thing, then you probably agree with the voters. If you didn't experience the same thing, like me, then maybe you don't agree with the voters. Regardless, Studio Series 86 Arcee takes the number 9 slot. 8 is another one that sort of baffles me personally. 8 is Studio Series 86 Exo-Suit Spike. I find this to be great. I prefer it infinitely over the masterpiece version that came with Bumblebee. But a lot of people said that theirs discolored. I get that that would absolutely ruin things for you if the blue discolored. And a lot of people, and I do agree with this one, hated the fact that the eyes were not colored in. He just had this orbless face. So did the MP. I don't know why they don't paint in eyes on human characters. It's creepy. Paint in the eyes. A lot of us went back and did it ourselves. And some people said, I just don't like the alt mode. He transforms into a nothing. But to be fair, exosuits always sort of transform into nothing. Some people criticized the way the arms were and the articulation, but the articulation on the arms is better than the MP. I don't know. Again, much like Arcee, my version of this didn't discolor. I like the transformation. I don't understand the gripes, but I have to respect the voters and respect the gripes that they've experienced, because enough of them have experienced those gripes that, just like with Arcee, this guy was able to slot himself in at number 8 for worst Studio Series Transformer. Coming in at number 7 is this. That's right at the very beginning of Studio Series. Studio Series 1 Bumblebee. Absolute failure. And I agree. Again, I reviewed this one and I detested it. I don't even think I could get it transformed. I think I got it close enough and said, yeah, that's as good as I can do. And I feel like every use of this and adaptation of this mold since has been just as garbage and useless. Now, again, there are people, much like I said with the Bumblebee movie Bumblebee, who have said, hey, this is a great Bumblebee, and if you have been able to work the transformation out, cool. I found that trying to switch out pieces and like put, you know, put the blades and stuff on his arms, and like I found that everything, you know, even storing the blade, I think, like on his back for like the storage, like nothing stayed where it wanted to. And if you don't believe me, you can go back and watch the review. It just didn't work. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for enough voters that the very first Studio Series offering, the very first Studio Series Bumblebee, took the number 7 slot. Number 6 takes us to the Gamer Edition subset of Studio Series, and this, it is Gamer Edition Megatron. And like, I can't speak to this. I don't have this mold. You know, when I was out on this mold, when I learned that the knee could only bend like, what, 30 degrees, 45 degrees? This is 2024. The knee should be able to go 90 degrees or better. There's absolutely no reason for it to be the way that it is, because I have seen everybody, almost everybody, cut that tab off to give the knee a full rotation, and or a full bend, and they all say the same thing. He transforms just fine. I can only speak to what I see and to what voters tell me. A lot of them also said his head is too small, his arms are too thin, and his fusion cannon is just too rinky-dink, especially when you compare it to the awesome fusion cannon of the Deluxe from, what, 15 years ago, 14 years ago? I don't know, we're getting this mold, this flame. I don't know if I'll get that in my hands or not. Maybe, maybe not. Gamer Edition Megatron, his weird cannon, his small head, his lack of knee bend, landed him, with voters, at the number 7 slot. And now a hush falls over the crowd because we've reached the ever-coveted, ever-popular halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we kind of have a tie, really, with these. That's right, it's the Arcee triplets. By the way, not for nothing, When we just looked at Gamer Megatron, I think I said he took the number 7 spot. Obviously, he took the number 6 spot. I misspoke. It's like 32 degrees here. It's warm. So, you know, my brain's a little mush. That aside, the Arcee triplets. I can remember seeing this as a core class offering. Actually, I think it was a deluxe offering. And seeing them in packaging thinking they look just terrible. I've seen reviews of them and, you know, they're okay motorcycles, but the transformation's not impressive. And the resultant robots are just lackluster. I get it. They want the vehicles to scale. I understand all of that. And they're not major characters from the film. I understand why you would do them as triplets. I understand why you would do them as all 3. But I have yet to hear even one person say that, hey, they like that set. In fact, they're getting a re-release along with Jetfire and Optimus Prime in a, technically, 5-pack. And even when I've heard discussions about that, people have said, man, all you had to do was give us a 2-pack reissue with Optimus and Jetfire. Nobody needs the triplets. Nobody wanted them then. Nobody wants them now. The Arcee triplets take the number 5 slot. At number 4, this is another one that personally breaks my heart a little bit because I actually really liked this version of Dropkick, the helicopter version of Dropkick. And people kind of unanimously said the same thing here. They said, 1, if he's not holding onto his 2 blasters, there's nowhere to really store them. I do agree with that. And having them on his feet, on his ankles here, like, I can do it, but I don't like it. The biggest gripe of all was that we had certain tabs that came untabbed, which I get. I absolutely agree with you there. And he doesn't look like he should. He's supposed to have a lot more blue and a lot less gray. While the cockpit right in the center of his chest is accurate, for robot mode, the car version actually executes it infinitely better. A lot of people said, yeah, okay, the head is fine, but like he's too lanky, he's gray instead of blue, it doesn't look like Dropkick. It's an okay transformer, but it's not an okay Dropkick. And for the numerous reasons that I just gave according to voters, Helicopter Dropkick comes in at the number 4 slot. And now we're into the top 3, and at number 3, I agree with this one, but it makes me sad that I agree with this one because it's Gamer Edition Barricade. And like this looks excellent. It looks like the game. I love the car mode. I adore the transformation. But the articulation of this mold, again, we're talking modern day, we're talking 2023, 2024. I mean, that's as far of a T-pose as he can do. You know, his knee, like, that's his whole knee bend. It's pathetic. The guy looks great, but unfortunately, you have major issues here of things knocking into each other because you didn't take into account the tolerances for articulation. It comes across as being engineered very lazy. Great look, poorly engineered, and it results in a offering that has an excellent transformation, an excellent look, an excellent alt mode, but an absolute failure of a robot mode. And that's the way fans feel enough that Gamer Edition Barricade was able to take the number 3 slot. Coming in at number 2, I absolutely get because it's 86 Blur. And I wanted to really like this, and there are things about it that I do like. I'm not going to pretend that there isn't, but I do think the Titans Return did it better. Actually, the Legends, the Takara Legends did it the best. Hands down, the best Blur if you can get your hands on that Blur. What I do like about this is that when this comes up over and we get into the car alt mode, I think that that looks really slick. A little more streamlined even than the Titans Return. But the Titans Return has a nicer overall, more solid, I think, transformation. And it has wheels. This doesn't have any wheels. I get it's a hover car, but come on, you could have put in some wheels. Also, my experience, as was the case with a lot of people, when you do the transformation, having to kind of slide these pegs in over here is just not a fun task. I actually sanded them down, and it works kind of, sort of better. But I also had to color in like some of his wrist. There were imperfections here that I didn't like. A lot of people have said every time you move him, the chest moves on him, and they don't like that. I understand each and every single gripe about this. I also understand that there are people that will say, hey, that's my blur of choice, and I get it. But enough fans have enough complaints that he was able to take the number 2 slot. And here we are, very tippy top number 1. And I don't think there's a soul on the planet who will argue with this. It won by a landslide. Honestly, it would have probably been my vote. If it wasn't the 86 Hot Rod, because we all know that how I feel about that, not even because it's bad, just it wasn't positioned right in the market. But I gotta say, as the votes started rolling in for this one, I was like, yeah, I even forgot I owned this. It's almost like a trauma I blocked out for, I think it's Studio Series 40, if I'm not mistaken. It is Car Mode Shatter. And you know what? The car mode is good. That's why she's in car mode. She will never, ever, ever again be in robot mode. I don't like the transformation. Neither do voters. In robot mode, what's up with the head? Why is it masked like that? Doesn't look like the movie. The articulation is, it's okay, but the proportions, like you got these super long legs and this super short torso. You got arms that like to fall off, parts like to fall off. No, this is best left for the rest of its existence as a car, because as a robot it failed miserably across the board with a transformation that's not fun and you don't feel rewarded doing it. Yes, Studio Series Car Shatter, the biggest Studio Series failure to date. That's according to fans, and I absolutely agree with it, and she takes the number 1 slot. That's 10 down to 1, my friends, once again. Who else had some votes? I think that there are some other ones here that really could have ranked. The Bumblebee movie Soundwave, not because it's not a good robot, but it transforms into a nothing. Bumblebee movie Blitzwing, because it's really a version of Starscream more than Blitzwing. The Revenge of the Fallen Jetfire, we talked about that a little earlier in relation to the Arcee triplets. 86 Jazz, because a lot of people have had breakage with the clear plastic. I don't understand why, but okay. Revenge of the Fallen, sorry. The concept art, what is this? Oh, sorry. The, I guess Bumblebee movie concept Rumble, I guess we'll say, that turns into a nothing that goes into the chest of Soundwave. Cogman, and the little core class Arcee from Rise of the Beast, not Revenge of the Fallen. 86 Starscream, all you did was take the Voyager Earthrise and give it a throne and some shoulder pads and a crown, whoop-de-doo, and a cape. Studio Series 70 B127, I guess from the Bumblebee movie. I heard that there were a lot of looseness issues with that, but again, I don't know. Revenge of the Fallen Devastator, Transformers 1 Optimus Prime, the Rise of the Beast Mirage, Nightbird and Battletrap, they all had votes. Dark of the Moon Bumblebee, the little Daniel that came with one of the Dinobots, I think it was Slag, the little Bumblebee that came with Grimlock. What about the Fallen? Although a lot of people love that. I'm surprised that it had vote for the worst. The Sweep, I don't know why anybody would vote for that. That sweep is a perfect sweep. Crankcase, Dark of the Moon Thundercracker, Berserker, 86 Cup, the new 86 Springer, I'm surprised. Someone voted for concept art Megatron because they said he transforms into 2 nothings. I think his tank is passable, I think his plane is passable. And I don't know, let's say Stinger and 86 Perceptor, although I really like 86 Perceptor, as simplistic as it is. Those and so many more. So many votes. Did your favorites make the list? Did they make the honorable mentions at the beginning? Did they make the little mentions here at the end? Or was your worst experience something totally different? I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course you can hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, please and thank you, hit the subscribe button. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. And don't forget, not for a moment, not for a second, not for a day, that somehow, some way, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.